I want to set it on fire.
It smells like a Halloween store. It smells like chemicals and sadness.
I hate like this. It pisses me off so much. $200 is too much money. God damn it. Anyway.
So normally, the purpose of this channel is not to like flame people who make products. This jacket company here really wanted me to make a video about them though. They wrote to me in 2020 and 2022 and 2023 asking me to do a video.
Suspiciously eager.
And each time I told them to get lost. Actually in 2022, I got rid of them just by asking them where the jackets are made and where the leather is from, and they stopped replying to me.
Good.
But
always a good start.
But they came back around in February this year and they said, hey, please review our jackets. And I said, these are too cheap. And so then they wrote back to me and they said, the reason why our leather jackets are affordable is we follow the direct-to-consumer approach and cut out the middleman. And I wrote back, I just said, I know direct-to-consumer jacket brands, yours are too cheap to be any good. They wrote back, our jackets are only cheap in terms of pricing, the quality is good, and we've been featured in top publications. So they sent me these links to Huffington Post, Forbes, and Honest Brand Reviews. Honest Brand Reviews obviously didn't have any of their actual jackets in hand. They didn't have any pictures of their own or anything.
Excellent.
Huffington Post just cribbed a review from their website and put it into their list of jackets.
Top-notch journalism.
Instead of actually trying it out.
Good.
And Forbes didn't try the jacket either.
Red flags as far as the eye can see.
And eventually I just said, look, it's clear to me there are no actual reviews of this jacket anywhere on the internet, at least none that are honest. So you've motivated me, I'll try it out if you want. And they said, we'd love to. So they sent out this jacket. So Troy is taking a bullet for everyone, and he's gonna do a review of Angel jackets for everybody. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna read some of the things that Troy has sent me over the weeks and months that he's been like looking at this jacket and writing his review. So this is Troy Barmore's review of Angel jackets. And
like you put my full name in there so they know where to send the threatening emails.
This is Troy and Angel jackets.
As Nick said earlier, I take no pleasure in criticizing products or building up my own ego by tearing down the work of other people. And I will usually try my damnedest to avoid reviewing something that I feel is outright bad. Independent of whether or not I personally like something or feel it's of appropriate value, human effort has been involved in this thing coming to my doorstep. Thus, even poorly made things deserve like a baseline of respect on some level, right? Does that make sense? Price is, or at least should be, a function of what something is, how it's designed, crafted, and how it functions. Rather than a jacket or a pair of boots being cheap or expensive or fairly priced, my biggest question is it honest? Is it what it claims to be? Sometimes it's painfully clear that you are just paying for a name. Sometimes cheap is just cheap. Oftentimes the lines are a little bit blurred. When we were first approached to review this jacket by Angel Jackets, we were really pretty candid with them. The other reviews we found online were all clearly seeded by the company or made without the actual product in hand. The pictures look generic, low quality, and suspiciously similar to that of a number of other foreign direct-to-consumer jacket companies. Yet, the brand was pretty confident and insisted we see for ourselves. So, the jacket was sent. When it arrived, it was in a soft shipping pouch, wrinkled up inside of a plastic bag. The label indicated it had shipped from somewhere in Pakistan, likely directly from the actual manufacturer of that jacket. We can't say, because there is in fact a significant lack of transparency surrounding where the company is based or where its jackets are actually made. There are some cute videos showing trendy designers and craftsmen drawing jackets and measuring sections of hide, but this has very little to any connection to the reality of what the final product is. When I took the jacket out of the bag, it was crumpled up inside. The leather was heavily wrinkled like a starchy shirt from having been folded up into this pouch. Those wrinkles remain weeks later. Actually, at this point, months later, as you can see here. The leather itself is thin and papery and was permeated by this horrendous chemical smell that continued to outgas in my coat closet for days. Far from the sumptuous, rich smell of fresh leather which one hopes for when buying a new leather jacket, this was more akin to the smell of cheap polyester carpet when it's unbearably new. The inner label, which simply states real leather, may seem like a good sign if you might not know much about leather, but to those who regularly handle leather and are familiar with different grades, it doesn't really instill much confidence. It's sort of like if you're at a grocery store and you go to buy some food and it says real food on it. Like, maybe you're not gonna be super eager about eating that, right? It's kind of the same thing with leather here. There's, a few different grades of leather that you're likely gonna see when you're talking about jackets and bags, and without getting too much into the weeds here, think of this from the best quality on down as full grain, all the way down to genuine leather, and then below that is sort of bonded leather and different sort of grades of leather with plasticizers and the like, right? And the main difference between that highest quality and the lowest quality is how much of the actual grain in the section of hide you're gonna get in that final product. The thicker, more condensed grain that you get in full grain leather is really durable, and you get a lot of natural character, and it feels very heavy. And then as you shave away those layers, you get cheaper and cheaper and thinner material, right? This jacket is the lowest grade leather I've ever seen, full stop. Hanging from the collar are two hang tags, with the first stating the usual language about irregularities and handcrafting, and the second one warning that your warranty is void if the tag is removed. So to be clear, your warranty, which I'm still a little bit unclear about what that actually covers, is only valid if you keep this large, absurd tag on the jacket. Makes sense. On the inside, the liner is cheap, papery polyester, and you can feel the sort of synthetic lining and cheap padding that's added to the shoulders to create the illusion, however unsuccessful, that the leather is more substantive than it actually is. The jacket is replete with seams and small sections of leather stitched together in order to save on using larger, more expensive sections of hide. Finally, the finish on the jacket has a sort of faux patina look, as if a thin film of dirt or wear has accumulated on the surface due to hard, honest use. It's anything but. Upon closer inspection, you can actually clearly see where the finish was sprayed on and where it was not. This is some kind of plasticizer or straight up fabric paint, and likely the source of that acrid, sad chemical smell that emanated from it when it first arrived. The fit is baggy, the fabric is uncomfortable, the leather wrinkled and bizarrely finished with a smell akin to that of some industrial solvent. It's an offensive garment to nearly every sense. At $189, this jacket is highway robbery, and it insults the intelligence and ambition of anyone who would buy one.
Oh, but Troy, you snob. Not everyone can afford a $1,000 leather jacket.
I can hear a critical comment defending already. You couldn't be more correct. This jacket is not intended for someone who could afford a premium leather jacket. It's intended for someone who aspires to, who wishes that they could, right? It's intended for someone who wants to experience what it's like to wear a nice leather jacket and enjoy the way that it looks, and most importantly, the way that it makes you feel. But the only thing that this jacket is capable of making you feel is disappointment, and possibly a little lightheaded due to the fumes. The aspirational buyer, who I very much consider myself to be among, is an incredibly important customer. For us, money matters deeply and represents hard work and months, sometimes years of focus and yearning and saving. We dream of being able to feel that moment of excitement and elation when we finally get to buy that thing we've been working towards, and we relish the ability to relive that feeling when we use that new thing, right? Say you are looking for a leather jacket that's in that kind of sub $200 category because you just don't have the budget. Like, where do you go, right? And to be honest, it's a really tough thing to answer. There aren't very many, if any, jackets in that sub $200 category that you can find that are actually of good quality, that's gonna scratch that itch that you want of getting a nice leather jacket, right? Honestly, the best option probably is Thursday jackets, you know, which most of them are gonna be lambskin. Some of them are gonna be cowhide, and those come in at right about $350. But outside of that, there's not too much in this price range. So, you know, your options are either get a jacket that isn't leather but still has some character to it, you know, thinking waxed canvas or waxed twill. Think like Huckberry, you know, tailor stitch. They sometimes have some. There's a few options out there. You know, the other option honestly is going secondhand, looking on eBay, looking in thrift stores, something along those lines to get something that's used or vintage. You know, the gold standard for leather jacket is gonna be Shot NYC. If you can find either, you know, a Shot jacket that's used or vintage or something that's inspired by that look. The good thing about quality leather jackets is they age well, they patina, they get cooler as they get more beat up, right? So there's no shame in buying something that is used or vintage. In fact, that can actually be kind of cooler than sometimes even buying a new one. So that's an alternative that you can look at to something like this thing, frankly. At nearly $200, this jacket is just expensive enough to trick people into thinking it might be premium. It's a despicable bait and switch. And as much as I genuinely dislike speaking ill of other people's work, products like these just piss me off, right? I am sure that at several points in the supply chain that led to this jacket sitting in front of me, there was a fair amount of honest human effort. But that does not excuse the fact that this jacket shouldn't cost anything close to what it does. If your goal is to buy this jacket so that you can experience how nice it is to feel a well-made leather jacket, I implore you, don't waste your money or your aspiration. This thing.
That was my favorite video I've ever done. As promised, thank you for sticking to the end of this video. Here are some texts that Troy sent me during this process. First thing he said when he got it, "This is horrible. The leather is so thin and shitty it wrinkles like polyester. It smells like a Halloween store."
But Troy, it's labeled real. To which I very eloquently replied,
"I could take a shit in a garment bag and label it real. That doesn't mean you'd want to put it on your body."
I stand by that.
"It smells like chemicals and sadness. I'm upset that I need to dedicate a hanger in my closet to this jacket. This is the kind of leather that environmental activist groups are angry about."
And should be, by the way.
It's a good point that when leather's really bad like this is the kind of leather that pollutes the local environment and stuff.
This is how chromium salts end up in drinking water.
Yeah.
And give kids fucking whatever horrible disease.
God damn it, I'm angry that human effort, however minimal, went into making this thing. I wouldn't pay $20 at a thrift store for this thing.
You get the idea.
A few weeks later, he says, "Update, my coat closet has stopped smelling so much like a pool toy and instead now just sort of smells like a dead fish. The plasticizers this thing leached off is probably going to give me non-Hodgkin's lymphoma." And lastly, this is what you get in a plastic bag when you buy an Indiana Jones Halloween costume. Troy, thank you for reviewing Angel Jackets. Everyone else, don't go through what Troy went through. Get a better leather jacket.
I don't like you anymore.
They have, they call like the long gray wool coat on their website. The product photos are just screenshots of Benedict Cumberbatch in the television series Sherlock. Like, they don't even have pictures of their own products to sell this. It's just like, trust us, it's just like what he was wearing on the show.
Lowest effort con job garbage. Ugh.